Do you give anything up for Lent? Is that something that you do?
Well, it's indicative of who you are. There are people who, now that he's not going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there are people who are lobbying to play Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So you don't think about it, you just do
I'm shocked by that because I figured it was something you've been doing.
That's what I should say. I worked on it for months.
Alec Baldwin just turned into Trump's worst nightmare, and it's hilarious. The actor's spot-on impression is making waves, and Trump's not happy about it. Like, at all. From the weird hand gestures to the pouty lips, Baldwin's nailed every detail. But here's the kicker. Trump thinks it's tinks. Guess what? That only made people want to watch it more. Classic Trump move, right? This has always blown my mind a little bit. 91% that watch this show regularly haven't subscribed. Could I ask you for a small favor before we start? If you like this show, what we do here, and want to support us, the free, simple way you can do just that is by hitting the subscribe button. Picture this, Alec Baldwin kicking back at home, probably scrolling through his phone and wondering if he should order takeout or actually cook something for once. Suddenly his phone rings. It's SNL and they've got a wild idea. They want Baldwin to play Trump, but here's the kicker. Baldwin's not exactly jumping for joy at the thought. At first, Baldwin's thinking, me? Play Trump? That's about as appealing as a root canal without anesthesia. He figures imitating Trump would be about as fun as watching paint dry while sitting in a traffic jam.
People reflect back to you who you are when they tell you what you should give up for Lent.
Do you get that from
Well,
people?
so I'll say to my wife, what should I give up for Lent? And my wife is like, complaining.
You are not one of those people?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm not lobbying, but I mean, people would say, would you do it? And there's a couple guys on the internet who are like, no, please, I'm the only man who should play Trump.
On a Monday, in the rain, but then something starts to click in Baldwin's brain. What if this could be his chance to poke the political bear, to really get under Trump's skin? Suddenly the idea doesn't seem so bad after all. It's like when you're a kid and your mom tells you not to touch the stove, but now you're all grown up and can touch all the stoves you want. Except instead of stoves, it's making fun of the president on national TV. Baldwin starts noticing all the little things about Trump that could be comedy gold. The way Trump talks, like he's constantly trying to remember what he had for breakfast. Those weird hand gestures that make him look like he's constantly swatting away invisible flies. And don't even get me started on that hair. It's like a golden retriever decided to take a nap on his head and never woke up. As he digs deeper, Baldwin realizes this could be his way of calling out all the political nonsense. It's like being the class clown, but instead of annoying your teacher, you're annoying the leader of the free world. Now that's what I call an upgrade. Suddenly Baldwin's thinking, maybe this orange makeup isn't so bad after all. I mean, who doesn't want to look like a human-sized Cheeto? He starts practicing his Trump face in the mirror, trying to get that perfect mix of confusion and constipation that Trump seems to have perfected. Before you know it, Baldwin's gone from no way to okay faster than Trump can tweet fake news. He decides to take the plunge into Trump land, orange makeup and all. It's like diving into a pool, except the pool is filled with spray tan and bad decisions. Baldwin probably thought this would just be a fun little gig, maybe get a few laughs and then move on. But little did he know, this decision would turn his world upside down faster than you can say kafef. It's like he accidentally stepped into a political tornado, and now he's not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Alright folks, let's dive into the wild world of Baldwin's Trump transformation. Ever wondered what it takes to become the orangest man in America? Well, buckle up, because we're about to find out. Picture this, Alec Baldwin sitting in a makeup chair for hours, surrounded by a team of artists determined to turn him into a walking, talking Cheeto. It's like extreme makeover. Presidential edition, but with way more orange. The makeup team probably went through more bronzer in a day than most people use in a lifetime. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just about slapping on some orange goop and calling it a day. Oh no, this was a full-on art form. Baldwin had to nail Trump's unique pout and squint, which is no easy feat. It's like trying to look constipated and confused at the same time. Talk about a challenge. And get this, Baldwin described the whole experience as surreal. He said, the moment I walked out there, I just said to myself, Trump, you know, eyebrow up. I tried to stick my face out, my mouth out. I was in the makeup room, they're putting my wig on, and it was like a scene from like a mental hospital. I mean, can you imagine? It's like method acting meets clown college. But the real MVP in all this? Baldwin's wife. Picture her walking in on her hubby practicing Trump faces in the mirror. She probably thought he was having a stroke. I can just imagine her saying, honey, are you okay? Do I need to call 911 or is this just your new hobby? Now, you might think that once the makeup was done, Baldwin's job was over. But oh no, my friends, that was just the beginning. He had to watch Trump's speeches on repeat to get the mannerisms down pat. Talk about cruel and unusual punishment. It's like being forced to watch paint dry, but the paint keeps insulting you and bragging about how great it is. But all that hard work paid off. After countless hours of practice and more orange makeup than you'd find at a Halloween store, Baldwin emerged as Trump's doppelganger. It was like he'd stepped out of a parallel universe where everything is the same, but just a little bit oranger. The secret behind Baldwin's orange-tastic Trump look? Well, let's just say it involved a lot of patience, a ton of makeup, and probably a few sacrifices to the spray tan gods. It's like they took the concept of presidential glow and cranked it up to 11. Alright folks, buckle up for the wildest ride yet in Baldwin's Trump transformation journey. You thought nailing the orange glow was tough. Well, that was just the appetizer. Now comes the main course, mastering Trump's unique verbal let's call it style. Ever tried to make sense of a drunk toddler's rambling? Well, that's basically what Baldwin had to recreate. How on earth did he manage to nail Trump's word salad without losing his own marbles? Picture this, Baldwin, fresh from the makeup chair, looking like a human Cheeto, now faced with the task of sounding like one too. But how do you speak like someone who's always searching for words and never finding them? It's like trying to win a game of Scrabble with only vowels. Baldwin's solution? You won't believe it. First things first, Baldwin had to crack the code of Trump's bizarre lingo. He described Trump's speech pattern as trying to make sense of a drunk toddler's rambling. I mean, come on, we've all heard Trump speak, right? It's like he's playing verbal Jenga, pulling out random words and hoping the whole thing doesn't come crashing down. So how did Baldwin tackle this linguistic nightmare? Well, he started by practicing specific phrases like huge and tremendous. Imagine Baldwin in front of a mirror saying huge over and over again until his neighbors probably thought he was having some kind of existential crisis. But hey, that's dedication for you. But wait, there's more. Baldwin's secret weapon in perfecting the impression was to imagine Trump's brain as a bowl of alphabet soup. Now, I don't know about you, but that mental image is both hilarious and slightly disturbing. It's like Trump's thoughts are just letters floating around, occasionally bumping into each other to form words. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. It's a linguistic lottery. Now, here's where things get really nuts. Baldwin had to master the art of starting sentences without knowing how they would end. It's like verbal bungee jumping without a cord. You start talking, and who knows where you'll land. This mirrors Trump's tendency to ramble and often lose track of his thoughts. It's like watching a GPS trying to recalculate the route mid-journey. But Baldwin didn't stop there. Oh no, he went full method actor on this one. He noted that Trump often appears to be always searching for a stronger, better word, and he never finds it. It's like watching someone play charades, but they forgot the word they're trying to act out. Baldwin made this a focal point in his portrayal, emphasizing the erratic and fragmented nature of Trump's speech. And let's not forget about the physical side of things. Baldwin's transformation into Trump involved not just sounding like him, but also nailing those unique hand gestures and facial expressions. Imagine Baldwin practicing Trump's signature okay hand gesture in the mirror, probably looking like he was trying to catch invisible flies. So, after all this practice, did Baldwin finally nail Trump's unique verbal diarrhea? Well, let's just say he hit it out of the park. Or should we say, he hit it bigly. Baldwin's Trump impression became so spot on that it was almost scary. It's like he channeled the spirit of Trump's Twitter feed and brought it to life on screen. Well, folks, it turns out that when Baldwin's Trump hit the airwaves, it was like throwing a match into a dumpster full of fireworks. America lost its collective mind, and the real Trump? Let's just say he wasn't exactly thrilled to see his orange-tinted doppelganger on the small screen. Now, we all know Trump isn't exactly known for his thick skin. In fact, his skin is probably thinner than the comb-over he tries to pass off as hair. So naturally, when he saw Baldwin's impression, he did what any mature, responsible leader of the free world would do. He fired up his Twitter fingers faster than you can say "cough-fe." Trump's tweets were a work of art, really. He called SNL unfunny and said Baldwin's portrayal stinks. Real presidential stuff, right? It's like he was auditioning for the role of America's grumpiest grandpa. But here's the kicker. Every time Trump tweeted about Baldwin's impression, SNL's ratings went through the roof. It's like Trump became Baldwin's personal hype man without even realizing it. Talk about a backfire. Imagine being so thin-skinned that your angry tweets actually boost the ratings of the show you're complaining about. It's like Trump was stuck in some bizarre comedy feedback loop. The more he tweeted, the more people tuned in to watch Baldwin's impression. And the more people watched, the more Trump tweeted. It was a vicious cycle of hilarity that nobody saw coming. But wait, it gets better. People started quoting Baldwin's Trump more than the real Trump. Can you believe it? It's like Baldwin's impression became the Trump translator the world didn't know it needed. Suddenly, everyone was walking around saying things like, "It's gonna be huge," and "We're gonna build a wall, and it's gonna be a great wall." Baldwin's Trump had become a cultural phenomenon faster than you can say fake news. Now, you might be wondering, what made Baldwin's Trump impression go so viral? Was it the spot-on mannerisms, the perfectly coiffed yellow wig, the uncanny ability to string together words that make absolutely no sense? Well, it was all of that and more. Baldwin didn't just imitate Trump, he became Trump's comedic alter ego. He took all of Trump's quirks and cranked them up to 11. It was like watching a funhouse mirror version of the president, and America couldn't get enough. But as Baldwin's star rose, Trump's blood pressure did too. You could almost hear the steam coming out of his ears with every new SNL skit. It's like he couldn't decide whether to be angry or flattered. On one hand, he was being mocked on national television. On the other hand, people were talking about him non-stop. For a guy who thinks all publicity is good publicity, it must have been quite the conundrum. The whole situation was like a political comedy version of David and Goliath. Baldwin, armed with nothing but a bad wig and an orange spray tan, was taking on the most powerful man in the world, and somehow, against all odds, he was winning. Every time Trump lashed out, Baldwin just absorbed the blow and turned it into comedy gold. It was like watching a master class in how to turn someone's anger into your success. Alright folks, let's talk about how Baldwin's Trump impression wasn't just a laugh factory. It was like a political Mona Lisa, but with more orange and crazy hair. Get this. A bunch of smarty pants researchers found out that young adults were getting their news from comedy shows. Yeah, you heard that right. 40% of 18 to 29-year-olds were tuning into SNL for their daily dose of current events. Talk about learning while laughing. But here's the kicker. Baldwin's Trump wasn't just entertaining. It was like a crash course in critical thinking 101. People weren't just giggling at the silly hair and pouty lips. They were actually paying attention to what Trump was up to in the real world. It's like Baldwin accidentally invented a new form of political education. Call it satire school for grown-ups who want to learn good. So next time you see a politician doing something ridiculous, remember, somewhere out there, there's probably a comedian practicing their impression, ready to turn that political nonsense into comedy gold. Who knew laughter could be such a powerful teacher?